Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. Going to talk to you guys about Ohio State. If you didn't hear, they just self-reported themselves for 4 recruiting violations. I'm going to tell you right now, 3 of them don't mean anything to me, but 1 of them really concerns me. So let's talk about them. First and foremost, when you have violations or rule violations or infractions, there are 3 levels of violations. Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. Level 1 is very egregious. Level 1 is you're straight up cheating. And I've seen schools have level 1 violations and not get any punishment from the NCAA. And then I've seen schools with level 2 violations and get an immense amount of punishment. It's absolutely ridiculous. There is no consistency with this. But I can tell you this. When there are level 3 violations, typically all that occurs is you have to miss a couple days of recruiting in person. You have retraining going on and education of the staff. Because typically it's failure to follow processes. It's just a lack of knowledge because in the coaching staff, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes these coaches make mistakes and it's not a big deal. Now, these 3 level 4 violations that they have, or level 3 violations, these 4 level 3 violations, like I said, 3 of them don't concern me at all. 1 of them I think is straight up egregious and cheating. So let's talk about it. First and foremost, one of the violations is Brian Hartline, the offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach. You know the deal. They are recruiting Chris Henry Jr. This is the son of the late Chris Henry, former Bengals wide receiver. They're recruiting Chris Henry Jr. His guardian is Pac-Man Jones. After a visit at the Summerfest recruiting event in July, Brian Hartline provided a graphic, a creative graphic. You know, those ones they put them in the uniform and they say you're now part of the team. He provided that graphic to Pac-Man Jones, and apparently that was illegal. Guys, I don't care about this. That doesn't matter to me at all. Another violation was 2 unnamed boosters, according to the report, posed in a photo with the recruit. Don't care at all. The boosters got educated. One of them was told he couldn't be around anymore for 2 games. Blah, blah, and blah again. And then there's another one where a staff member commented on a commitment post in January, which goes against NCAA rules. They quickly deleted the post, and that staff member is getting educated on his time frames and when he can contact recruits and things of that nature. Those 3 are absolutely ridiculous. No one gives a shit. Let me tell you the first one, though. The very first one they list here is they admit that a coach contacted a player prior to him entering the transfer portal. Contacting a player before he entered the transfer portal. Let me give you another name for that. That is tampering. That is tampering. That is what we're accusing these coaching staffs of doing. Ohio State's letting you know they did it, and the NCAA has the nerve to put that under level 3. Oh, it's just a subtle mistake. It's just no big deal. We just pulled his transcripts to make sure he can transfer over here, pass admissions, and we were reaching out to this young man while he was still a member of another team. They do this with coaches all the time. They poach coaches from other staffs all the time. Tampering, and no one gives a shit. This is what we need to stop. This is what we're trying to compete against. This is what we're trying to stop at the collegiate level, because how the hell are you supposed to put together a team and be competitive if somebody's calling your players? It's just not cool, man. There needs to be some type of rules. There needs to be some type of regulation with some teeth in it where tampering doesn't occur. Tampering from the players happens all the time. Let me tell you guys something. There are legal ways to tamper. I know because I do this every day. Let me make this very clear. I do this every day for transfer portal athletes. I reach out to coaching staffs on their behalf. And there are players that aren't in the transfer portal who reach out to me in my DMs, express a desire to transfer, and the number 1 rule I have for them is do not get in that portal unless you have a destination identified. Unless you have a team and you have a verbal agreement with them that if I get in this portal, you're going to sign me. You're going to offer me. If we don't have that agreement, we're not getting in the portal. I kid you not. That is the advice I give these young men. That is the advice I got from a Power 5 coach. I'm not joking. I get my advisement from other FBS coaches. A Power 4, Power 4 coach talked to me in my DMs and said, Rico, I highly recommend these young men do not go to the transfer portal unless they have their school identified before they enter the transfer portal. How do you do that? Because you can't talk to the kid. That's cheating. So how do you do it? Well, you do it with third-party intervention. You do it with somebody like me. You do it with a high school trainer, a high school coach. You can't do it with family members. It strictly forbids that in the bylaws of the NCAA. Believe me, before I started getting involved with this, I had to go read up on it. But you use third-party intervention, and then that individual can speak on your behalf and reach out to coaching staffs. Now, the coaching staff has to trust you and believe that you are the representative from that particular player. And let me tell you, I've run into some red tape before. But I want to tell you a coaching staff out there that did it the right way. And that was SMU. A lot of people talk shit and make jokes about the Pony Express and SMU, but I was speaking on behalf of a particular player, and I don't want to pull up the DM right now because it'll show the player's name. But in my DMs, if I go to messages and I scroll back, I will show you a message. Let me go on my other monitor and make sure I can keep it somewhat redacted. I'm going to pull it into the screen here in a bit, but let me show you this message. I don't think I have the young man's name on here. But this is an interaction between me and the SMU coaching staff, a coach at SMU, and he said, I appreciate what you're trying to do, helping these athletes out. With our program, we don't, quote-unquote, pre-portal players. If that player is interested in our program, once they're officially entered in the portal, encourage him to reach out to us, and we can have a conversation. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Now, obviously, relationships with coaches matter. My interaction with coaching staffs does matter. It changes over time, is what I'll say. That might have been my initial exchange of information with that individual, but I loved the honesty with me. I love that coach saying, hey, Rico, we're not going to just hypothetically talk about a player unless he's in the portal. And then we want to talk to the player, not to you. But there are teams out there talking to handlers, talking to people, and that player is not in the transfer portal. Ohio State just admitted to it. I'm not cool with it. I need somebody out there to give a shit, and no one does, because they're going to go the Tennessee route. And the Tennessee fan route is everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Never forget, Noah Fafita's father, in black and white, in an interview, said we had to listen to Bama because it's Bama. We had to listen to Bama. We know Kalen DeBoer likes Noah. We had to listen to Bama to see what they were offering. Hey, man, it's Bama. It's exactly what he said, in black and white. I'm not paraphrasing. It's there. I've shown it in other videos. Just remember, that young man was never in the transfer portal. What did you have to listen to? Noah Fafita was never in the portal. No one cares. No one's reporting on it. I made multiple videos about it. These teams are cheating. But as long as you call them level 3 violations, there'll be no ramifications. And the audacity will grow. The willingness to cheat, to circumvent the rules, to cut corners will grow. I know of players who want to be in the portal. Teams are reaching out. I have a player reach out to me, said, Rico, I got contacted by a Baylor GA. A Baylor graduate assistant reached out to me, and he said they would be interested in me if I jumped in the portal. Should I go? And I laughed, and I said, you know what? Don't go. Not only should you not go to them because they're unethical, but I feel like that whole coaching staff is getting fired anyways because they're about to have a terrible season. So it doesn't matter what they say to you. Shout out to that young man. He listened. We'll see what happens in the spring, though. Shout out to Ohio State, self-reporting yourself, but tampering in black and white for the world to see, not cool. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows.